welcome everybody to MSP Hub Studios, where we talk about innovation, industry trends, and the ability to talk about execution within the MSP space. I'm your host, Sam Barhoumeh, CEO at MSP Hub, and today we have Danny Gaston, our Director of Sales. How are you doing, Danny?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Huge honor to be on here. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited. This is a new addition to our platform today. We're excited to be able to do it, and more importantly, be able to talk about the industry and what got us to where we're at today, specifically in the MSP sector. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give the audience a bit of a quick background of your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I have spent the past 15 years in the channel. And when I say channel, it's a channel of some sort. There's a lot of different channels out there. I started initially in what's called it was originally the telco channel. And then it has evolved and I think meshed into the channel that we're a part of today. I started in there, worked with a lot of then known as master agents, now known as TSDs and agents and advisors, and more of the relationship with the customer, and vendors do the billing. Worked in that space for a little while, then moved over to the software side of things, worked for a variety of different companies developing software, taking those softwares to market, which led into the enterprise space and working more on the OEM side of the channel, baking our solutions into some of the larger tier 1 or Fortune 500 companies like SAPs and Verizons of the world. And over the past 5 years, I've really gotten more into the distributor or MSP VAR channel, starting off with, taking that expertise in software and then coming into more with a cybersecurity area of focus. And spent the past 5 years, I'm really focused on cybersecurity in different varieties, but particularly around strategic partnerships in the channel, which I love because that's not just, of course it involves tier 2 distribution, but it also takes it to another level with the OEM side of things. So it's been able to help, with all my experience throughout the years growing, it's kind of tied all those things together, which brought me here and how I met MSP Hub, which has been an absolute pleasure to work here I've been here for 6 weeks now. And it's really, I get to leverage all of the different relationships and experiences across the board. And I've been watching all of these channels kind of work now together and merge into one. So it's been a great experience so far.
That's fantastic. We're also happy to have you here. And that's a great portfolio of experience that you just mentioned there, being able to touch every facet and gamut of our industry from enterprise to SMB, really shows you how this industry works. For me, that's important because that's going to transcend into the customer experience. And clearly, we could see it from that point of view. Where do you think the MSP industry is headed today in terms of its journey, transformation? Let's talk a little bit about that. Like, what's your perspective given all that exposure?
That is such an interesting topic. And I think it's multifaceted too, because what an MSP is not the same thing as it was 5-10 years ago. I think what I saw in the TSD and the telco world, those guys are realizing they need to bill the customer for things. And their telco, their circuits are all commoditized, their commissions are dropping. So they have slowly been becoming, you'll see this kind of on the maturity level of an MSP, they have been attempting to become MSPs themselves and outsourcing a lot of the services and forming relationships with billing entities and some distributors or some directs with vendors to start billing on their own. So they might call themselves MSPs, but they're not traditional MSPs. And then when we look at the traditional MSPs, the guys who are out there saying, hey, I'm charging $150, $200 a seat for this stack of software and the value add services around it. I think that's changing too. I do. I think the customer needs are no longer, and the customer needs as well as the pain points too. I think they're no longer the same. I don't think you can solve all of those with a standard stack. So I think the evolution of, and this is just my opinion, take it or leave it, but I think the evolution of the MSP, the next generation, is going to involve some level of agentic element. And I think it's going to be custom solutions based off of agents to solve those problems that are outside of that $150, $200 a user managed service package. It's my 2 cents on it.
I would agree with you on that. And even up to this week, we've seen major bellwether companies like Amazon and Salesforce show a significant decrease or cut in their staff due to the fact that they've been able to automate processes by way of agentic AI agents and increase value and decrease their bottom line. So clearly, our space is becoming competitive. It's something that I think, to your point, MSPs need to figure out how to retransform their business. What would you say to the ones, or what would you talk about for the ones who figured out that adjustment early on? Where do you think they're at in their journey now versus the ones just learning what they have to do to adjust their transformation?
They're learning the wild west of agentic AI development right now. And right. I think, I don't know where it's going to go. I think you can ask a variety of different experts about where it'll go. And I don't know that anyone really knows right now, but I think if you start 2 years from now, or even, it's moved so fast now, probably shouldn't even do it in years on it. It's probably, right. If you start 6 months from now, you're probably too late to the party. Yeah. You need to jump on now, get familiar with it, have the right partners that are involved in it, or you're going to be too far behind to catch up.
I agree. I totally agree with you. And I do believe that in the next, 24 to 36 months of time, we're going to see a dramatic shift of platform access. We're going to see practical use cases of AI, being involved in every variation of business, including service providers like MSPs. Let's expand on a couple of scenarios where you think AI would benefit an organization. Let's talk about perhaps customer service requirements, right? Today, a small to mid-size MSP will have a series of customers who they worked very hard, by the way, to earn their trust and earn their business. And they trust that the operational value of their business will continue to provide them that value. But what happens when you don't have checkpoints like that and people miss opportunities to pick up a call and forget to send an email or forget the prioritization of a request from a customer? What does that do to the relationship, and how does AI make it better?
Yeah, I mean, so we're humans. I mean, we are humans, and most MSPs are not, enormous operations where they have this group of people is focused on responding to customers' X problem, and so you have oftentimes people wearing multiple hats. You have multiple systems, whether it's ticketing or billing, or, it is so easy for things to fall through the gaps. I don't think it's an if, I just think it's a when. Right. And that damages trust, especially, you never know if the thing that falls through is going to be, it was a password reset. Like, oh man, that, which can be vital in some cases. I know we all have to deal with probably 95% of help desk calls are around that. But
well, you come from the security world, so if a password reset was done incorrectly, that's an identity breach, and now purpose for cause, right? So as simple as a password reset could be most devastating. But please continue. I want to hear more about it.
No, that's exactly so. The little things like that could have huge implications, or it could be something that's just naturally huge implications. Hey, we have an outage, or we have something, and an outage might cause an overwhelming, for an MSP, I have to outreach to all my customers. I have to communicate to them. One falls through the cracks, that relationship's going to be harmed. Those things you can automate those now, and machines, as much as I love, and I'm very much a relationship and relationship person, and value the humans that we work with. I think, they're not companies, they're people we work with.
Correct.
But I want to make sure I'm taking care of those people as best I can. And the best way to do that is to leverage a machine to make sure we're not missing things, because they can be perfect while we are not.
That's correct. I agree. And you know, from my standpoint, or the seat I'm sitting in, I don't see AI as a threat. I actually see it as an opportunity to fix operational items in any organization, to allow those people that were spending time on those items to go do more valuable tasks, right? So to me, you know, as an organization, we want to always be on the creative side of the house, in a happy place where we can talk about things that matter, not post-mortem things that are actually, you know, damaging a reputation or a business or an experience. So I'm all for AI. I'm loving the agentic play. And, you know, given your security background, by the way, just curious, what do you think your take is going to be on how AI gets involved in that sector?
Oh, it's going to be that game is always a game of playing catch up.
Yeah.
And now we can get into the really, you know, maybe I need to put on my my tinfoil hat, but not even technical tinfoil in this case. But I think it's not that far away. But and when quantum compute meets AI, it's going to be very interesting in cybersecurity. I couldn't tell you where it's going to go, but it'll be interesting. But I mean, I'll tell you this. The white hats and the people fighting against cybercrime and all the vendors out there, they better be leveraging AI, because the black hats are. And to have humans against machines, you're going to lose that battle every single time. So, yeah, but it is a game of catch up. I will say that. It is a
game of catch up, and it's a constant pendulum moving versus, you know, being in front of it, unfortunately, because like anything else in business, technology evolves. And I've been in this industry for 25 years, plus or minus. This is, you know, I saw the .com boom. I saw the hyperscalers accelerate to success. Things started to come out around IoT, but it was always almost like a decade of time that was spent seeing these conversations and these platforms mature, right? And this is the first time, I think everyone would equally agree, the acceleration of a platform like generative AI, I've never seen anything move at the pace that it has. It's amazing. And I guess it keeps us all guessing. So at any rate, when you think about AI and you think about your vast experience with MSPs, Danny, where do you think most of the small to medium-sized business owners of these MSPs, what's the first 2 or 3 things they're going to go after AI to help solve their business, outside of perhaps of the one we discussed?
So you're saying from the MSP's business perspective, not taking an AI solution to the customers, but internally.
Correct. We are just talking about how a business owner who wears multiple hats wants to see his business be successful, unfortunately may or struggle with operational dependency because the business can't afford an extra head or this or that. Mm-hmm. Is he the guy that's going to go use process control with AI? And what's your thought on that? I'm just curious.
I think, well, three areas come to mind, and this is, again, opinion. So people may feel free to disagree. This is just my thoughts on it. One is internally, from a sales perspective, there's entire communities around, and I know our audience, and I don't want to offend anyone in the audience, but typically MSPs are not the best sales and marketed companies.
Oh, anyone can tell you an entrepreneur on average isn't a great salesperson. They're great visionaries. So I can absolutely agree or attest to that one. Yes.
Yeah, and there's reasons the communities like Robin's or 7-figure MSP exist out there. It's because that's what they exist to do, help on the sales and marketing side. Correct. So thing one that pops into my head of how they can leverage AI internally is on the sales side. You can't afford to have an army of BDRs and account executives and all these different elements, marketing departments. Those things cost a lot of money, cost a lot of time and expertise to do. And there's a lot of competition out there. So finding a way to leverage it on the sales and marketing side of things, I think would be one. Two is, and this just came to mind, I think it would be more applicable to the more mature MSPs, but some way to automate the risk flags that come up within the customer's environment. So, you have eyes on glass, you have somebody looking at remediating tickets, looking at different things. And, most of those things are not super serious when a ticket or something happens. But when an event comes up that is significant, or just analyzing the overall environment to say, hey, an event is likely to come up in this scenario, makes you a lot more efficient and a lot better of leveraging it on more of the SOC side. That's where my head is going, kind of on the security operations
you've been around
side.
the cybersecurity space. You've seen the SOCs and the KPIs that they have bound to. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are like two of the more obvious ones that I think would be really helpful. There's a ton of different use cases though. I'm interested. Where do you think it would be leveraged in as an owner of an MSP?
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I would also tell you probably in the area of finance, I think there's going to be a lot of cost control opportunities that will be fed into a generative engine tied back to like your ERP or your CRM software. And it will find and address billing challenges, potentially billing invoices, find anomalies in, certain potential risk registers that may come up before an invoice goes out. I always remember when I first started what is today MSP Hub, but it was originally Infinity Networks, and we transitioned to throughout multiple names, is we would never catch all these errors in invoicing. It was almost impossible because it was all manual, and there's, we're a smaller company and we all wore many hats. And as you look at us today as an organization, close to 80 people, process control is important, and it's very possible someone may accidentally, not on purpose, but accidentally miss to input something, which could be sent to a customer, which will now slow down your cash flow coming back in, because you may get pushback, you may get these scenarios that tries to drive that experience. So anyhow, good talking points on that piece of it. So what's your take for 2026 on AI or generative AI, Danny?
Get on the boat, or grab a life vest from somebody who's on the boat. That is the way things are going. I think that is the future. I don't think there's anything, whether we have these like global summits to slow the progression of it down, or I don't think there's any stopping it. And to your point, it's an exponential growth. So it's not like it took 20 years for cell phone, I guess maybe more than 20 years for cell phones to get where they are today. Well, AI is learning on itself to improve itself. So this is a growth that's going to inject change a lot more quickly, I think.
It's very amazing to see a technology evolve as quickly as it has. And I totally agree with you with the new AI models coming out. The next 3 years should be interesting. If you could leave one final note or message to all the MSPs who are listening to our studio podcast today, as a sales guy joining a new organization, what would it be?
So this comes from, I'll give you a quick little background. It comes from experience on the corporate side too, is treat your relationships like they're family, but be maniacal with your data. Know how much money you're going to make the year before it happens. And that's not going to happen instantly. You're going to have to build that. So take some time and start building it. It'll be a year before you actually have it, but it's nice to know. It's nice to be able to project. Because one thing I learned from the corporate world.
Yeah, I like the way you frame that is while you try to execute your pipeline for today, you're thinking about the same relative path for the following year and thinking ahead, be smart. So that's fantastic. Danny, it's great to have you on the show. Look forward to having you back on here soon again. For everybody listening, we appreciate you joining. This is MSP Studio, where we talk to you about our industry, innovation, our processes, and how we manage technology, and overall topics that are relative to our space. Thank you for joining. Have a great afternoon.